Attention! All things shared in this video are simply the opinions of the Unexplained Files. The following footage is not tampered with, and all of the events and reactions are unplanned and genuine.
Man's best friend has been by our side since the days of painting cave walls by the fireside. They are loyal companions and fierce protectors, but our history with our canine friends has a darker side. One of myth and legend, with stories and whispers on the wind of beasts that are both man and wolf, but are loyal to neither.
Whether it's transformations under full moons, or creatures hunting the moors and forests, sightings and stories of werewolves or dogmen have been with us for centuries and seen the world over. From the transformations of man into a wolf in the Epic of Gilgamesh, from the god Zeus turning King Lycaon into a wolf. History has given us many interpretations of dogmen. The werewolves that you are likely familiar with are those that transform from man to wolf. There are also tales of sightings of large bipedal creatures that appear to be part canine and part man. There are even accounts from the likes of Marco Polo, who mentions dog-headed barbarians living on islands in the Indian Ocean. Descriptions of cynocephaly, a man with a canine head, are found throughout history and around the world. Although it has been said that some accounts using this language has been used to describe tribal people or non-Christians as animals, so we must always take this with a pinch of salt.
Many dogman or werewolf sightings from today's world come from remote parts of the United States. Here in the UK, we simply don't have that many sightings at all. From an attack on a lorry driver in East Yorkshire in the 60s to a 2000s police officer's encounter with a beast caught in headlights by the River Thames as it escapes towards the river. Despite the few tales of these enormous wolf-like beasts, our options, much like the sightings, were very limited. But we weren't going to let that fact stop us. So today we will be investigating the strange wolf sightings of Lynton's Valley of Rocks, the supposed stomping grounds of werewolves, all the way up until the 1990s.
Good afternoon, everyone! We are back for another episode of the Unexplained Files. However, this one is not an investigation. We have a new case file for you. Just as last time when we had the UFO case file, this time we're going to be hunting us down some dogmen, investigating a potential sighting of a dogman, catching some of the scenery, talking about the history, some of the sightings in the area, and enjoying some of the scenery along the way. So let's get into it. Yeah.
Because because this is one of the ones that's going to freak me out, where you think it's just a drop, but really it goes right out underneath where you are and you're just standing above nothing.
One gust of wind, I'm cooked. I don't know what makes me feel more sick, looking at the drop or looking at the drop through a camera. Whoa. I don't know how much I trust this. That was a worrying amount of flex there. Felt like I was stood on plywood for a brief second. There's Steve. I have to do a dogman to help. See if he freaks out. So, I know very little about the apparent dogman sightings around here. I'm gonna shut up for a brief second because this is going to be very loud. I've got a funny feeling that if we don't get too much info into this video, it's going to be a lack of information and more just us having a day out. But the reason we've come out this way is because supposedly, I don't know if it was in the 90s, there was a dogman sighting. There's a person over there. Dogman sighting over this hill, way that way. We've been slowly but surely trying to make our way over there to see if we could get towards where the sighting was, but I don't think it's on a listed walk, so it's really hard to get there. But yeah, we've come out here in hopes of exploring it a little bit more, seeing the location. Naturally, we didn't think we were going to see anything, but if we did, that would have been cool. I'm sure in the edit there'll be a voiceover talking about the history of dogmen in the UK, because you know, dogmen, werewolves, whatever, they exist worldwide, or stories of and accounts of their sightings exist worldwide. But naturally we're exploring a British sighting and a fairly local sighting, at least a Devonshire sighting, and unfortunately we've not seen anything. I was saying to the camera about how when was the sighting of the 90s?
Yeah,
I said it was.
90s.
Mid-90s, I said it was in the 90s, and I pointed out that it's like way over that way.
Yeah.
But
Well, like pretty much in this area, I guess that's just where they pinpoint.
yeah, might be cool to go into a history of some of the sightings, even way back, to see if there's anything more, because for all we know there might be a lot in this area, who knows.
Yeah, because the only main one in the UK I know of is in Hull,
Right.
which is called Old Stinker. And that one's been sighted quite a lot over the years.
Yeah.
I can't remember when the sighting began, but it's a long time ago. But that's the I've not really looked at any others in the UK, because mainly you hear about them in America or elsewhere, don't you?
Yeah.
So not much is known about the sightings in Lynton by Valley of the Rocks, although reports were made over several years and ended around the mid-90s. So is it possible that an upright canine-type creature was walking around the area? Is it possible that this could have been a hunting ground for the creature, far enough away from people to be left in relative peace? Seeing the sightings in the area stopped. Maybe we got a little too close for comfort, and our canine friend learned a lesson from the locals and took a hike someplace else. Alright guys, so a little bit of the history of the sighting around here. Well, there were several sightings, but apparently they happened around the mid-90s. The area we're in is called Lynton, which is also up in North Devon. And the main sighting is there was a woman out walking her dog one evening when she had a sighting of a werewolf or dogman, whatever you want to call it. And I think it got spooked by like another animal and ran off into the tree line or something. But then there's been a few other sightings from people in the area, but I haven't been able to find any details of them. But it's in this general area where it happened. That's why we're just walking around as much of it as we can.
In a forest. It is out of the way. Like this isn't like no one's living out here. So
No.
it's just hikers. So you can see it. Prime location for anything that wants to be away from people. Out here would be perfect.
No one's living out here apart from a cult.
Yeah, there was a bit of a culty activity going on over there. You don't worry about them.
We thought it was interesting. That's why we've come out to have a look around and a little investigate.
Yeah, British dogman sightings are a bit of a rarity, I think. You don't really hear about them all too often.
No.
I don't, to be honest, I'm not really clued into the cryptid scene of the UK. There's not a lot that I've heard of that goes on around here. You get the odd UFO sighting or anything like that, but even in our folklore, you don't really have a lot of this stuff. Ooh.
No. Because I know a lot of it came from Europe in the first place, didn't it? And then went over to America. But
well, you can imagine like Germany and
Yeah.
sort of places like that are all prevalent with that sort of thing.
yeah, especially when was it around the 1600s when they used to do the werewolf trials and that, and people were executed for it.
I don't know anything about that. I know the witch trials. The werewolf ones I haven't learnt about.
Yeah, that was a similar thing really to the witch trials, but just where they tried and executed people that they thought or who confessed to being werewolves.
Strange that people would confess to it. I wonder, well, probably tortured into it, I imagine. I wonder what was happening around the area, like livestock being killed and murdered and stuff, to make people think that that was what was causing it.
Well, there was one, I think the guy's name was Peter Stump or something, and what they think nowadays is he was like a serial killer.
Oh, okay.
But he confessed to being a werewolf, and he said he had this belt that I don't know if it was like a wolf's pelt or something, and when he put it on, it gave him the power to transform.
Because I know throughout like Scandinavian history and stuff, you had, or at least in Scandinavian sort of spiritual belief back in the time, and even I don't know so much about Celtic, but there was the idea of the berserker and a berserker rage, where a person could, most likely through like ritualistic drug use, and like chanting and shamanistic drug use, they could kind of go into an animal rage where they believed that the spirit of the animal kind of took over them. And I wonder if part of the kind of history and the folklore that surrounds these creatures is remnants of these legendary figures that were going onto the battlefield, like as like with the spirits of bears and wolves and stuff like that.
Because a lot of them used to wear like the
Pelts,
bear pelt or like wolf pelts on their head, didn't they? So they look more menacing.
I'm no expert on this, by the way. This is just like
These are
anecdotal
our
things.
opinions and our opinions only.
I didn't study history in any capacity, but of my own knowledge of like the faith, that even to some degree in the faith today, it somewhat exists in minuscule facets, but you hear about that berserkers in battle and the sort of the legend that still surrounds them. So I wonder whether part of that still exists somehow.
Yeah, but then again, when you look, because obviously I listen to like Dogman encounters on YouTube, and when you hear some of the sightings that people have, which are supposedly actual
Big wolves.
Yeah, and the belief is it's not like a person that transforms into a werewolf, it's an actual creature, that's like that, 24/7. So, and some of them stories are terrifying, and there's supposed to be like real life events that people have had. When you're listening to it, it feels like a story to you, but I can imagine if you live through something like that.
Well,
Jesus.
yeah, exactly. I know in today's world we feel very comfortable with what's real and what's not. We sort of say to ourselves, oh, this can't be real because this type of creature doesn't exist. But you've only got to go back 200-300 years, and people didn't know what the fuck a giraffe was, especially from this part of the world. So it makes you think, like, the way that creatures were described and the scope of the world was so much more vast then. And I know we've documented a lot of things now, and the world seems to be almost completely discovered, but there's a lot that hasn't been.
Oh, yeah.
We're still discovering more and more every year. We're still realising that we've only got a small fraction of the pie. We only know a little bit.
And it's the same when we're doing like paranormal investigations. No one really has proof of it, do they? Unless like someone's got some proper solid looking evidence on video or whatever. But we're just out investigating, see if we can document anything. And you know, I believe there's something going on. What it is, I don't know, you know, but
I have my own beliefs, but
yeah,
a lot in today's world, a lot of people are closed-minded because you don't learn in today's world by being curious. You learn by listening, being told.
And unless you actually have experiences of your own, then you're definitely probably more closed-minded to the fact that there might be something.
I mean, we've gone from 1,000 years ago, where every community had their own idea of what happened in the world around you, that was different to one another, to now, worldwide, everyone believes the same thing, and if you don't believe the same thing, then you're a lunatic or you're crazy. I think the fact that we live on a ball of rock in the middle of nothingness, alive somehow, which we don't even know what that means, but we just are. I think that's so nutty in and of itself. How can we just turn around and be like, well, this isn't real, and this isn't real, because there's no proof, and there's no this, and there's no that.
Yeah, exactly.
I like to ask questions rather than be told the answer. I like to figure it out.
Yeah.
And regardless of if I spend the rest of my life being told everything or trying to figure it out, I'll never know the answers anyway, so I might as well just be curious and explore.
I can imagine that's going to be the same with our paranormal stuff. If we actually experience something, it's not going to end the story, is it? It's just going to open more questions, like what's going on. So. Yeah,
and there's always going to be people who turn around and say, you're faking this is ridiculous, or you're using toys and blah, 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 blah. That's fine, if that's your opinion, that's okay. Because yes, we are doing that, we are using cat toys, we are doing these things. Like, does that make it any less valid? Or does it make it any more valid? No, we just do it, it doesn't affect anyone. No one knows the answer.
That's what makes me laugh with that. It's like people are like, oh, you're using cat toys, and they're cat toys, that's what they're meant for. But it's like, for an example, like radars, that was originally invented to detect enemy aircraft. Now, it wasn't invented to, like catch the speeding cars and stuff, but it's been repurposed for that. So why, if, like they say, spirits can manipulate and move objects, why can't they move that so it lights up,
Yeah. Like, if you'd have told a 17th century scientist or whatever that you couldn't make, or like even going further back, 16th, 15th century, that you couldn't get gold, you couldn't turn anything from nothing into gold, they'd be like, nah, I'll figure it out. Or if you told them, oh, by the way, there's a whole other bunch of light that you can't see, and different wavelengths of light that you don't know that's there, it is affecting you, but you can't see it, you can't prove it, but it's there. They're going to go, all right, mental, you're loony, whatever. And there just is. They just didn't have the capacity to figure that out. And people, I find it really funny that people have now decided that we have found the limits of what's normal, and the limits of what we don't know yet, because everything else must be absolutely fucking nutty.
Yeah.
But,
Exactly.
Tell the 15th century fucking scientists.
So at the end of the day, we're just staying open-minded, we're out exploring, investigating, see if we can document anything, and, and if we do, that's what we show you guys, In
our videos, you get a whole lot of fuck all. If we were going to fake it, I'm good at editing, you bet. If I wanted to fake, I'd fake. There's so much more incentive for me to really heavily go crazy on things than just to add a little touch of something. Like, whether I edit a full-blown ghost sprinting at us down the street, or whether we capture footage of what looks like a shadow that seems to come from nowhere, regardless of the levels, there's no being subtle about it. Someone's going to turn around and go, you faked that. So why wouldn't I just go all out?
Oh, yeah, true.
I like the idea that we've just picked up a camera and people are so steadfast in their beliefs that everyone who does this is a fraudster or an idiot. It's like, okay, you're the one sat watching it, so what does that say about you and your time?
Anyway, rant over. We're going to enjoy our walk back, probably get you some footage along the way.
And Dogman.
Yeah. Hopefully capture Dogman, but so far it's just a goat on the hill.
Yeah. Beelzebub! I probably shouldn't do that near the Abbey. Oops.
Anyway, guys, we'll catch you up along the way. See you in a bit.
So what are your thoughts on dogmen or werewolves? Are they misunderstood protectors, or the misinterpretations and imaginations of lost and scared travellers? Our investigation yielded little more than doubts and more questions, but it was quite the adventure exploring the locations of the sightings of our homeland. We hope you enjoyed this evening's video. And next time you find yourself walking under the light of a full moon, keep your eyes out. You never know what may have its eyes on you.